Hey, good evening. Hope everybody's having a good weekend. We are getting a little bit into a warm air advection pattern, and we've got the low clouds spreading over. And I don't know if you saw that here on that graphic, but you can see a higher layer working over the tops of these clouds. There's these bands heading towards the camera out of the southwest. So pretty neat there. You can see the cirrus right on top of all this stuff. This is the warm air advection pattern working up through the Great Plains. And we can see a little bit of a cold front starting to move out of Montana and North Dakota. So another cool down on the way. For our temperatures, they looked like this. We were pretty cool, but these values we're getting are actually near our seasonal normals. And in fact, I've got this graphic here showing the temperatures up in North Texas. This is the temperature range, the daily temperatures, all the way back to November 1st. And you can see that the temperatures are quite a bit above normal for this entire winter. And the gray line here shows the daily average. And you can see we're, for the most part, about 10 to 15 degrees above normal most days. And in fact, we've been above normal all the way since about January 10th. Just this week cool down, and we've seen temperatures here above average 72 times, and then we've only had 23 days where it was below average. So I don't know if you want to call that global warming or a shift in the pattern, but it is something. Upper air pattern also not showing much of a change, and we've been talking about that mega block out in the Pacific. And I'll draw that out, located right there. And at each corner, we have some sort of trough set up right here. Now, we've been watching a trough coming out of the Yukon and Northwest Territories, and that has merged with this corner in that omega block there. And this is going to be the start of that system that's going to be moving into the Great Plains at the beginning of this upcoming week. You can see the main polar vortex up in Quebec here, and we are bringing some flow out of the north into Canada. So we're not completely devoid of cold air, but we don't really favor an outbreak into the U.S. when we have this very strong zonal flow across the northern states. Okay, let's take a look at some soundings across, we'll start with Texas. Fort Worth is going to show that layer of higher relative humidity. So these are the bases up at about 2,500 to 3,000, and those top out, that's going to be right around 6,000. And you can see quite a bit of dry air above that. And then we pick up the cirrus up at about, let's see, that's going to be probably 27 to 28,000 feet. Further north in the cold air, Springfield, Missouri. We'll pull up their sounding, and looks pretty similar there. We can see that the air mass above this cold air is actually pretty warm. If we bring this down somewhat between the wet and dry Tibet, we get a temperature of about 70 there. So that kind of makes sense if you go back to the 500 millibar chart. This is pretty much south of the polar front jet. So this is basically all tropical air across the southern plains. Then as we go further north into Canada, we'll try whatever station that is northwest of Winnipeg, and that's where we pick up the cold air, a lower tropopause, and above that the stratosphere, and you can see how warm that is. And the reason this stratosphere is warm, that's ozone. When you have ultraviolet light coming from the sun interacting with the ozone molecules up there, that converts over the radiation to heat and warms the air mass up here. So the potential temperatures are distinctly warmer. If we forced air at 42,000 feet all the way to the surface, we would be looking at temperatures of about 150 to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. So that movie The Day After from about 10 or 15 years ago, they were talking about forcing a bunch of cold stratospheric air to the surface. That's all bunk, of course. Let's check out the upper air patterns, looking at the 500 millibar vorticity. So there's that big low over Vancouver Island. And we're going to run this forward for the next few days. And we see that low come into phase with this trough here. And so we're looking at a little bit of a change in the models. We were earlier looking for the trough to be a little bit deeper over Illinois and Indiana. Looks like the GFS has decided to shift that a bit north. And sometimes that happens because we just don't have very much data density out here. We know that the trough is coming from that region, but we have no radio sound stations offshore. So in a way, it's kind of a wonder that the models actually work. But under the circumstances, we at least know that we've got a system moving towards the Great Lakes area. Then we get the secondary trough come through on the 9th. Flow gets somewhat zonal, and here we got a trough coming onto the west coast. And this other trough, this looks pretty strong coming into Georgia around the 10th. So you see that right there. So that could be a focus for severe weather there towards the end of the week. Then continuing through the rest of the week, we see a lot of ridging and continued northwesterly flow through Canada. In fact, we get very strong northerly flow here, so that's going to keep the cold air coming south into the Great Lakes area. Ridge holding in place. Looks like as we get into that ChaserCon weekend, weather is going to be fairly good there. But trough moving onshore around the 17th. So we actually may see a little bit of weather coming into Colorado Saturday, right there. Then we see this trough really start digging out into California. And we saw yesterday, we're looking at that Pineapple Express moisture coming into California around mid-month. Okay, let me take a look at the chat and get caught up what's going on. We've got Mark and Fred and Alexi and Ron. Fun with Tech is back. Sue is here, and Jeff is asking if the maps are publicly available. Yeah, they all are. In fact, this map that I'm showing right here, this is wxweb.meteostar.com. And the pivotal weather maps that I sometimes show, well, actually, I show them every night. Those are from pivotalweather.com, so you can get those there also. And they've got some good convective models there, too. Let's see, Mark Davis and Fred De Pas, Manitoba. Okay, so that's the station. Jason Boggs is here, and there we go. Okay, let's do the forecast here. So let's see if our GFS is set up. Okay, so you can see that starting out with this panel, we are in a warm air advection pattern. So we've got the thickness lines crossing the isobar contours. So that's bringing warm air from the south. Here comes our next shot of cold air coming southward. So moving forward, what are we going to have for the Super Bowl coming up tomorrow? Looks like a few showers there in the Houston area. It's going to be a warm air advection pattern setting up down there with, looks like a warm front probably just clearing there, so things will be a bit warm. High pressure over the southeast U.S., and we have a lee side trough over Colorado starting to take effect due to that strong zonal flow aloft. So going into Sunday and Monday, most of the weather changes are up in the northwestern U.S. So you can see very strong banding of the thickness here. This is strong baroclinicity in this area coming together. Then we see that take effect or take hold on the Central Plains. That's going to be the leading edge of that front. Looks like the tail end through California. So we start picking up some showers there on Tuesday. Here comes some cold air southward. And looks like that system actually slipped through the Great Plains, through the Great Lakes area right there. So right there in Michigan, Wednesday and Thursday. Coming in a little bit weaker than had been expected earlier, but we'll take a look at the Canadian model, see what that had. So in the wake of that, migratory high pressure moving southeastward. Then for Thursday and Friday, another shot of cold air coming southward due to that northwesterly flow aloft. Things getting busy up in the Pacific Northwest yet again. And then we see things moderating on the Great Plains here next weekend. A little bit of cold air sinking south here, showers along that, as a Great Basin high builds in over Utah and Idaho. And this is a little bit new for Tuesday 14th, bringing in high pressure across the plains and a little bit stronger cold air advection into the Midwest here. Then that'll depart, and then in kind of a quiet weather pattern. Looks good for Colorado. This is the ChaserCon day, Friday the 17th, but things are going downhill in California. New system coming onshore here. And that'll be mostly an upper air system. You see it coming across the Rockies right here. Some snow showers on Saturday, but that should not have a big effect on the weather for now. This is 330 hours out, so we could see changes between now and then. But a couple Pacific systems coming through, and then we get to the end of the forecast. So let's take a look at the Canadian model and see what that's got. We'll run this forward. There's Tuesday the 7th, and there's our system in Illinois. Warm front all the way up to Michigan, so that's going to keep a lot of the colder air up in Minnesota and the UP of Michigan. So this looks to be a pretty similar picture to what the GFS has. And then in the wake of that, bringing the cold air southward through Iowa, Nebraska, and Kansas. Looks like not very much of that reaches Texas. So after that, not much going on. Looks like another system coming through here on the 11th and 12th. And then I think we get to the end of that Canadian run. And yeah, it's bringing a little bit more moisture and cold air southward on the 13th and 14th. So looks a little bit rainy there in Texas. You can see a little bit of snow and freezing rain in central Texas on Monday the 13th during the morning hours here. So we'll keep an eye on that. And that would probably be reinforced by some of the dry air moving southward. So there's probably a little bit of wet bulbing going on and a little bit of dynamic cooling as that happens. Okay, let's see what we got. Not much more in chat. Just Kevin asking about the El Nino status for the spring. I'm not too sure we're going to know much about that for about another month. I'll take a look at that and see if I find out anything. Anyway, some of you probably saw the opening graphic, and I figured we would run a quick contest here. The prize is going to be the Weather Map Red Book. And if you have that already, I can ship that to somebody else if you have somebody in mind there. But if you want to participate in the game, just let me open up the Skype, and you can try dialing in, and we'll see if we can get that going. So let me work through my Skype settings here and get this up and running. And it should show online, so if somebody wants to try calling in and competing in this contest, you're going to answer one question, and if you get that right, you will win that book. So we'll see if we have any callers here, and we'll see if we can get the Skype system running again. I'm trying to find a space in my desktop here. So we're going to let this go for about 1 minute, see if we get any calls here. And I'm taking a quick look at my board. You see what I got to work with. And part of the problem, we tried to run Skype last week, and the audience was not able to hear the caller because I had one switch that happened to be off. But I think we got all that working again here. All right, so let's see. Does anybody want... I'll give this another 30 seconds to a minute. 30 to 45 seconds if anybody wants to try this contest question. Again, the address is going to be Meteorology Lab there. Let's see, Fun with Tech may be giving it a try there. And while we wait on that, let me go to the ECMWF and see if we have any charts up for that. This is where you can view some of the European data, mediocenter.com. And I like to pull up the 850 chart since it's pretty detailed, and it shows the thermal field. Okay, then let me bring this up to the 72-hour point. This is the system coming towards the Great Lakes area. So we see that tracking through the Des Moines and Quad Cities area. And we finally see the low up around the Lake Huron area. So kind of a track very similar to the Canadian model and to the Canadian model. Then we'll take a look towards the 11th and 12th. And this is the cold push coming down on the 13th, taking aim mostly on Chicago and Detroit. So there's that right there. Okay, let me take a look at my Skype here. Okay, this is going to be the last call here if anybody wants to call in. And other than that, I think we'll probably be done here shortly. I'll probably try to announce this tomorrow if anybody wants to give it a try. Also, tomorrow I'm going to postpone the broadcast until after the Super Bowl's over, so we're probably going to be looking at 10 o'clock Central for a start time. So again, that's going to be 10 o'clock for the start time tomorrow, and then after that, we're going to be back to a normal schedule. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close it up. I think that's probably going to be it for tonight, and we'll probably try to run this contest again tomorrow. Okay, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks.
A customer orders a single with cheese. Here's the way you do it if you wanna please. Lay down the cheese in a juicy spot, but don't leave it too long or it'll get too hot. Tool it up, lay it off on the meat. Do it right, keep it neat. Drain then serve on a bun just so. Don't touch it with your fingers, that's a big no-no. To make a double cheese for someone big and mean, use two or full patties with the cheese in between. Don't melt the cheese, the patties have heat. Press them together and it's complete. Drain and serve like you did before, and you can handle any dude who walks through the door. If they don't want cheese in your doubles plain, don't press them together, just drain. Only serve a great looking patty. Never serve a burger that's looking ratty. But if something goes wrong and your burger's not right, there's no need to get uptight. If it's dry, burnt, broken, or incomplete, that baby turns into chili meat. Don't serve that meat, you see, cause quality is our recipe. Put those patties in a chili pan and save them for all of our chili fans. But if they have cheese, then throw them away, or it'll ruin our chili, our experts say. Always try to anticipate, think ahead, or you'll be too late. Whether busy or slow, one thing remains the same. Keep your meat in the stages, that's the name of the game. No less than 4, no more than 5. Stage of meat's important, and that's no jab. Now your patties are hot and ready to go, right in time with customer flow.
Stage 1, I'm raw, you just laid me down. I'm stage 2 and I'm getting brown. You turn me and press me just one time, but there's 2 more stages before I'm fine. I'm stage 3, you press me twice, just 1 more stage before I'm nice. Stage 4, I'm hot, I should be done, looking good like I should so you can serve me, son. I'm stage 5 and I'm still alive, but serve me soon and don't be slow. I've only got 1 minute to go.
The projection game is simple, you see, it's just common sense. That's the way it ought to be. When you know a lot of people will be coming around, don't hesitate, start laying them down. When things slack off, do the same or you'll be wasting meat, and that would be a shame. Just one last thing I've got to say, it has to do with the Wendy's way.
Always serve top quality, nothing less than the best, that's a guarantee.
Remember this rap and you'll be hot. Give the grill your very best shot, and soon you develop some real grill skill. You'll be tough on the grill, yes you will, Mr. Bill.